This is Calvin Castine. Welcome to what we think will be an interesting look at flooding in the northern tier on this November 9th. 2 to 4 inches of rain have fallen, and probably even more in some cases. You don't necessarily have to be near a river to have flood problems. This is the Le Bombard Road in Champlain. This is where we're starting our journey. No river nearby here. This is just an area that suddenly accumulated a lot of water, and it is flooding the road. One of scores of roads that are flooded over today throughout the northern tier. Also in Essex County, but in Clinton County, the northern tier seems to be getting the brunt of this storm. Unfortunately, we scared the ducks away. We were going to point out that old expression, nice weather for ducks, and that turns out to be the case. We had some ducks nesting out here at on the Ridge Road. This is a hayfield that they were in the middle of, but as we expected, when they saw us, they took off. A lot of other places for them to enjoy today. We decided to keep our time on the camera. We don't normally do that except at a board meeting. Just to give you a little chronology of what's happening. We have moved to the La Valley Road that connects Moores to Champlain. Runs parallel to Route 11. Road is impassable. Fire Chief Albert Laporte allowed us to come down here, but he's up at the Ridge Road intersection rerouting traffic. The Champlain Fire Chief Albert Laporte, along with a lot of firefighters, are out today. And of course, there are times like this when we realize that firefighters do a lot more than just fight fires. There's certainly no fire involved in this today. This is the La Valley Road. Still trying to make our way west. We thought we'd go to the Angelville Road and catch some flooding there, but before we got there, this is McBride Road. That's, those of you familiar with the area, it's Leo and Everett's homestead up there, and another area. This is where this is not a river, just a damp area that has flooding, and the road is closed. This is the McBride Road. We're still trying to find a way to get west of here. We're still going to attempt to head west. We're going to try Route 11. We expect to be blocked off by the Creek Road. Right now, we are by the Rapids, Little Rapid Road in Champlain, where it intersects with Route 11. In this little ravine here, we very rarely, if ever, see any flowing water in here. Even in the springtime, we hardly notice any in here. And this is up next to Parker Chevrolet on Route 11. And then behind us is the Chazy River. We're going to turn and get a better view of that. The river is flowing pretty good. See a lot of debris floating by. And we noticed earlier very muddy water, which you have to expect. We're going to go take a look now up on River Street and check the flooding out down there. And this is River Street in Champlain, an area that has certainly become accustomed to flooding. Every spring, this is the site more often than not. We're going to turn and look at the Chazy River behind us and back of the Knights of Columbus. This is in back of the Champlain KFC. River, chocolatey brown from all the runoff. There's the old village hall. Former candy cupboard, now the Champlain outlet. Grand Union, old Grand Union. And this is the Chazy River as it goes underneath the bridge on Elm Street. And here's how it looks flowing in the other direction. We're now in back of the Champlain Laundry off Church Street, looking toward the laundry at the moment. There's a bend in the river, and the river doesn't want to take that bend. It wants to keep coming in this direction. We have heard at this point only rumor, and by the time you see this, you'll certainly know more about it than I. But we have heard cattle were lost on the Gagnon farm. That was one of the places we wanted to get to on the Angelville Road. We've heard that the cattle were washed away out there. We're not sure if we'll be able to verify that as part of this. But as we said, by the time you see this, you'll probably know more about that than we do at this point. Village of Champlain Public Works Supervisor Bob Sullivan. We are across from St. Mary's Academy. I was here about 2 hours ago, maybe 2.5 hours ago, and this entire gully here was filled. These branches you see were probably an overflow from this gully. It had backed right up. It was filled to the top. This has got to be probably 20 feet deep. So this somehow broke loose and has flowed to whatever course it normally takes. Supervisor Sullivan is down there, Public Works Superintendent for the Village of Champlain. Incredibly, I came here to take a picture of this gully being full, and within 2 hours time whatever was holding it up broke, and all the water has washed away, headed of course into the river. In back of us there are culverts underneath here. When they filled in the early 1960s, they filled in to make this new athletic field at St. Mary's. This area here was all, as we saw, across the road, and they put fill in here and put culverts in, and then it washes across into the river, which is in that direction. We have now moved up to the Frog Pond area, and this is Perry's Mills Road, and old Route 11, road to Perry's Mills from the Village of Champlain. There's flooding that's going on down below. We're not sure how close we can get. You can see the water rushing through the trees. That's the river back there. If you remember the story we did with Ron Marquardt, who lives here, and also Bill LaBelle, talking about the old Frog Pond. Well, that's where the Frog Pond area was, down below. And we're going to cross this little bridge and see how close we can get to the dam that was built there a couple of years ago. This is in back of the Marquardt house. This is the area where that new dam was put in. I believe it was just about 2 years ago in 1994 we were here. Yep. There's the date marker. Great Chazy River coming as fast as it can toward Lake Champlain. We could probably spend half an hour just taking pictures here, but we've got other places we want to take a look at. We are just a little ways past the Frog Pond now, by the old canal here in Champlain, and give you an idea of the speed this water is rolling. Looks like the high seas out there. We're now paused on Route 11, just east of the Creek Road. Looks like a highway department vehicle coming through. We followed this bike down here, and wisely the biker is not going to try to cross it. Now there's another road heading west. That is impassable. We're going to try to get west of Champlain by Paris Mills and see if we'll have any luck going that way, taking the Webb Dubois Road into Paris Mills. Highway Department truck. State DOT, I guess. And they were able to make it across, but as we all know, crossing roads that are covered with water can be extremely hazardous. Not sure if this guy knows the secret route or not. We're down on the Cardin Road, meets the Dubois Road. This is the road that goes to Paris Mills, the Dubois Road, the Webb Dubois Road formerly. Half an hour ago it was passable, but it ain't now. I guess if you're brave, you can try to get through. That truck is making its way through. So far, I guess if you're whatever enough to go through, they'll let you go through at this point. I don't know. Our biker is back here. Dr. West is going to look, but I don't think he's going to go through. The truck that went through is coming back. Looks like he met somebody, or is towing somebody. I'm not sure what this situation is down here on the Dubois Road. Potential for disaster. Folks that live on the Cardin Road trying to get home, trying to find a way around this. Looks like Dr. West has come back. This is the Cardin Road. We've been out for an hour and a half and we haven't gotten too far yet. Still trying to make it west. We're heading for Scioto. We're here at the Wyeth Ayres plant, research plant in Chazy. And here's what it looks like here. Flooding along the Ridge Road in Chazy. We're heading hopefully to Scioto. We're on our way to Moores from, to Scioto from Chazy. And there's water across the road here. We're gonna try to get through here. It looks like maybe only a couple inches deep. And we can see bottom, so we're gonna try to go through. Corbeau Creek is nearby here. I think it's being fed by a steady stream there. I'm not sure if that's part of Corbeau Creek or just a new addition to it. We'll watch this vehicle come through here. Scioto, here we come. We're just about to head into our car and a whole parade joined us. So we'll watch them go through. You're the only road going west, you get a lot of traffic all of a sudden. It's also the only road going east. Still trying to get to the flooding in Moores Forks. Church basement is flooded out from what we've heard at St. Anne's. LeBare's stores we told you earlier flooded out in Ellenberg Corners. The Gagnon farm, we've heard several reports on that. 100 or more cattle reportedly washed away. CNN headline news is covering what's happening up here. We heard Jim King's voice on the radio. I think we mentioned that when we were at Miners at the Wyeth Ayres plant. A lot of people are treating this as an adventure, but to a lot of other people it's very serious, and people trying to get to and from their homes. This guy stalled out. This is a spot we certainly knew would be hopping, where Corbeau Creek crosses Route 22 in Scioto. Normally Corbeau Creek at this spot is just a trickle. There's a gushing rapid today. Corbeau on its way to Cooperville. This runs in back of BB's store in Cooperville. And usually at this point it's just a couple inches thick and only a foot wide or so. We have now moved up to Altona. We're on our way to Feinberg Park, where we thought we'd take a look here at these bridges. And although we've shown several vehicles crossing the road, the highway, with the water on them, we want to remind everyone that safety experts say don't do that. We'd hate to have somebody end up in an accident and say, well, we saw them doing it on Hometown Cable. We probably all recall within the past year a gentleman, I believe in Richmond, Vermont, not too far away from us, crossing a road, and culvert washed out, and the man and one of his daughters died. And as you can see right here with the way this water is moving, got a lot of force behind it and a lot of danger involved if you cross the highway with water across it. So I guess our advice is do not attempt it at home, what you've seen today on Hometown Cable. Your best advice is not to cross a road with standing water. I wasn't quite prepared for what we're about to see. I just told you not to cross standing water, because you don't know what's going on. Here's a dramatic example. The Devil's Den Road in Altona. We're at Feinberg Park. We knew we could find some gushing water here. We did not expect to see this. We're going closer. There are signs saying the road is closed. We went around one. This is what's left. You're seeing as I do. And I don't know if I want to get too much closer. If it fell down there, obviously it could be weakened where we're standing also. All this fill between the river and the road, and it all washed out. This huge culvert is supposed to prevent something like that. Obviously it did not. This is Feinberg Park, one of the most scenic areas in our viewing area. But dramatic, almost unbelievable. You would never have anticipated something like this. And you can imagine, had there been a vehicle on here when this gave in. We've not seen anything like this since about 20 years ago. The Boquette River in the Elizabethtown area washed out, and that's the closest and the only thing we've seen in our area that looked anything like this. The Devil's Den Road in Altona near Feinberg Park. Guardrails are dangling across an abyss at the moment. Looks like Ken Perry has got some work ahead of him here. We've started to walk away, and we bumped into Mr. Andy Young, who was here earlier. Andy, what did it look like a while back when all this happened?
It was about 4 more foot over the top of the dam at least. And over the tennis court there at Feinberg Park, the water was coming over the top of that. Over the ball field.
So this whole area where we're standing was underwater too then?
Underwater.
And when it cleared, this was what had happened?
This is what had happened, yep.
So now that water was there, people didn't really realize that this had happened probably.
No.
Any idea when it happened, Andy?
Oh, about 4 o'clock on, 4:30 on. she started.
You're saying during the night?
During the night, yeah. This morning, about 4 o'clock this morning. 4 or 5, somewhere's around there.
So you here helping out?
No, down on the Woods Fall Road. You've been down there?
That's where I was heading next. Oh, what's happening down?
The road is washed out there, period. And the houses are all there. Where Lyle lives was about almost up to the mailbox across the flats.
There aren't too many places we can go in either direction here.
No.
We're all going to get isolated pretty soon, I think. Thank you, Andy. Andy Young, resident here in Altona. This happened, according to him, almost 12 hours ago, during the middle of the night, what I would call it, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to wander around and see what else we can find. And here's the ball field, the baseball diamond. You can see the water eroded all that sand around there. The grass in the infield is kind of an island right now. So the water must have been extremely high, just like Andy said. Up, flooding the tennis courts even, which are very high in this area. We're now on the Joe Wood Road that Andy Young alluded to. And again, dramatic footage all along the roadsides, completely washed out. I'm going to leave the camera on as we walk along here. See the water still pouring through over there, but obviously it was much higher at one point, which is probably that 4 or 5 o'clock at night time period that Andy alluded to. Okay, this is coming to a point. The road has collapsed on both sides. Washed out underneath. I'm leaving the camera on so you can see it as we do. Again, it is washed out. I'm going to go along here as far as we can. Hopefully what's left here is sturdy enough to support us. This is the Joe Wood Road. It goes to the Woods Falls area, a very scenic spot. We're going to attempt to get to the Woods Falls area. And we're not sure if we're going to be able to get there. Here's part of the highway thrown into this field next to it. It was picked up and carried over there.
I'll see you, Carol.
Looks like Andy Young is...
Car right here.
What's that?
A car on the trailer up there. That was in here.
That was in here.
Yeah.
Wow.
The wire was right up to the door.
We'll have to take a look at that car. A wire down, I would guess it's probably the phone wire. We've been gone almost 3 hours and we haven't gotten any further than Altona. We're going to keep going till we run out of directions that we can go or we hit darkness. From what we've been told, Mr. Jimmy Joubert was sitting on top of the roof of this in the middle of that mess we just saw when he was rescued. We just talked to Mark Tatro, who was one of the rescuers. He suggested we go to the fire station and maybe somebody there can tell us a little bit more about that dramatic rescue. And of course, the damage we've seen, We haven't heard anything that would indicate that it happened, but it's certainly a possibility of a loss of life. We hope nobody in the northern tier lost their life in this dramatic flooding here on the 8th and 9th of November. We went to the fire station and there was nobody there. I can imagine any firemen that are awake are probably out somewhere, and the ones who have been up all night probably getting some deserving sleep. We're going to walk through this area here because it looks like we have another spot where the road is washed out. This is the road to Altona from Moores. We're hoping to make it to Woods Falls. Obviously we won't. Went to the fire station looking for Super Dave Lucia. Dave Lucia apparently played an important part in that rescue, and we wanted to talk to him, but there was nobody there, so we were unable to do so. I'm going to pick up this footage when we get to that washed out area. They're getting closer to it. Obviously during the night and the early hours of the morning, Altona was very hard hit. Footage we saw this morning was of Ellenburg. We've been trying to make it there since early this afternoon. And here's another highway washed out. This little road here is all gone, way into it, and here's the washed out highway, and you can see where the water rushed through here. It looks like years of erosion might have carved El Sable Chasm. That all happened in minutes, certainly no more than an hour or so of hard rushing water. Huge culvert here. But no matter how big it wasn't able to handle what came through here. So we're obviously not going to get to the Woods Falls Road from here. We're now going to try to get into Ellenburg. We're several hundred feet up the road, and even the parts aren't washed out have started to buckle. There's reason to think that it might be several hundred feet worth of damaged highway here. With our cold weather, we're right around the corner. No matter which direction we turn, we can't seem to escape devastation here in Altona. We are in Irona. Half this road is washed out. We are right in the heart of beautiful downtown Irona. I see sandbags. There's the Four Corners. We're walking along here, but we're going to try to get some shots from the other side of the road as soon as these vehicles get through. Hard to believe that one town could suffer so much destruction. Altona is almost an island right now. Almost every road in and out is not covered with water, but actually washed away. This road here is half washed away. If anybody out there would like to share some video footage that they may have taken in any of their local towns that shows dramatic examples of this flooding, we'll be glad to put those on, let you share them with your community. This is obviously the aftermath. There might be people who have footage taken when this destruction was actually happening. So anybody in our viewing area who may have any video footage that would like to share it, we're not going to pay you for it, so don't get excited that way, but if you'd like to share it, we'll give you credit for it and let people know who took it. There's certainly been a dramatic 24-hour period for the North Country. We are now right at the Four Corner intersection, and we couldn't tell from where we were that there's more damage here. Frightening moments, I'm sure, for the Bushy family. Mike Bushy. Maybe we'll be able to talk to him. I see some sandbags here, Mike Bushy. What happened here?
The fire department came about midnight and they worked till 4 o'clock. We dumped 4 tandem loads of dirt in here, trying to block it because it was all coming over the road. It was coming right from there completely over, and it just washed the 4 tandem loads out. You can see it all in the back, and that's how hard it was coming.
It looks like your whole house is just
undermined
an
everything.
island.
It's a mess. Undermined all this and all around here, the other side of the road. I mean, it was coming over 1.5 feet deep, 2 feet in the middle of the road. At least, maybe more.
Might I say a scary moment?
Yeah, it was getting nasty. We were, like I say, the fire department tried their best. They were here half the night, and finally we just said there's no more point of it. I told them, I said, it's just, we were fighting a losing battle.
When did it let up?
Oh, it was still, I'd say it started letting up maybe 10 o'clock this morning, 11 o'clock this morning.
And that's from midnight?
Yeah.
So 10 long hours, huh?
Yeah, because it was coming up. We had put that there, and it was coming over the sandbags in the front. Cellar was full to the bottom, everything. You see how, like around here, so everybody's the same. Everybody got undermined all around, and
This whole area.
yeah.
Any damage in your house? Did it get into the inside?
Down cellar, it's mostly down cellar. I got my furnace, washer, dryer, pumps, everything.
Altona seems to have been hit extremely hard. Couldn't believe when I saw the Devil's Den Road washed out, the Joe Wood Road washed out.
Yeah, it's a pretty good mess all over from what I understand. I could just get out myself now a little bit. It's going to take a while, a mess to clean up.
Yes, I would think it's going to be type of thing where state and federal aid might have to be brought in.
I hope so. You know, like I say, I'm sure everybody else is just about a shape.
Now, has your house moved? Did you notice the foundation may have been
No.
moved?
No. But like down cellar, as soon as I get the water out, I got a 275-gallon fuel drum, and it picked it up and it twisted that around. I couldn't believe it.
Well, you saw what it did to the pavement out here. A little fuel, fuel tank ain't gonna hold it up.
Yeah, it's
I've been trying to get to Ellenburg since 1 o'clock, Mike, and I'm not having much luck getting there. And I guess it's just as destructive there.
I don't think you're going to either. It's a pretty good mess all around here. I guess the only way out of Altona is down through Scioto.
And that road there is partially blocked.
And that's partially blocked too. That's what the fireman just told me. I said,
I may have to find a place to stay in Altona tonight. You think they got room at the Altona Hilton?
oh yeah, down there at the Blueberry House or somewhere.
I'm glad you can still laugh, Mike. We were ready to stop taping, and we walked around the side of the house, and we can see the loads of dirt. The rocks just washed right across the lawn here. How's your swimming pool, Mike?
Oh, it's still there. I was afraid the deck was going to collapse, actually. We walked out all the sides of the road.
Now, is this a county road or a town road?
County, I believe. County road, and you can see on the other side what it did to that.
Yeah, obviously the water was moving. It looks like, as I mentioned earlier, it looks like something you'd see at Ausable Chasm where hundreds of years of water went through. And
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
all the way down the road.
Yeah, it was going right down here. This was, I mean, it was all, everything was covered. It was going down there. It was right up in the air, right even with everything down through there. It was flowing over the road there. It was all filled right up. Where you see there, it was level. It was coming down here like a waterfall. It was just pushing everything through. I don't know if you got a very good look at this over there, but that's bad. Here, and they were doing some work, and one pulled off. Well, you couldn't see. I mean, there was that much water coming down the road, and he pulled off a little bit, and he almost tipped his truck over in here. They had to throw it out with the fire truck. Because you couldn't see that this was washed out at the time.
Yeah, it's under that much water.
Yeah.
That's why they tell you not to cross a road that's got water on it, and this is an example of why not. Now, does it normally flood in this area during the spring, Mike?
Nothing like this. I've been here all my life, and I've never seen anything like this. Never. A little flood here and there, or you get water in your cellar, but
And now, is there a river near here that might have overflowed?
or right up there, right across from Mr. Matten's house, or right on the side of his, there's a river that flows into the pond right there.
What's it called?
Tell you the truth, I'm not even sure. We never really.
All you know is it. It overflows once in a while.
You can see where the water came, where his truck is. It came right over there and completely over everything. The trailer was like an island over there. It was just, all you could see is the trailer, and the water was all around it. And I mean, it was just coming.
Now, is that road closed up there?
Which one's this? Up here it's
Straight
supposed to be, but people keep going up it, but it's supposed to be closed. I don't know. I haven't been up it myself, so I can't say how far it is.
I would say you have enough to do right here without going anywhere else. And of course, firemen weren't just here, Mike. They were everywhere in Altona.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys were out everywhere.
Yeah, we had maybe 4 or 5 of them here, and they worked. And like I say, we tried, and we just couldn't do nothing with it. It was coming too strong, and we're not prepared for that kind of stuff around here. We never had it before.
Yeah, and how can you prepare for something like that? We're still trying to make it to Ellenburg. We're at the Plank Road and Military Turnpike intersection. More dramatic footage here. The Plank Road washed out. Up that way, we're going to get a little bit closer. And certainly we're unprepared for what we've run into. So far we thought we'd stop in Altona, take a quick shot of Feinberg Park, and then head up to Ellenburg. We had no idea what we'd find, this kind of stuff. It says road closed, but people are braving it, heading up toward Chazy Lake area. We suspect this is what the Bradley Pond Road looked like this winter and early spring when it had that flood damage. up there. This is a close view of the plank road. Or in this case, what's left of it. We have hopefully time to get to Ellenberg Corners, and then we want to head home before it gets too dark. But the road's still impassable. Daytime driving is challenging enough without being out here at night. Just tons and tons of gravel washed through here, and obviously this car was probably parked here, would be my guess, but that's just speculation. It's taken us almost 4 hours to get here. Well, we're at Ellenberg Corners. And this is the aftermath. You see this footbridge washed out. The Bears suffered flood damage twice during the winter and spring months. In case anybody out there doesn't quite know where we are, we're across from Northern Adirondack School. And the footage we saw on Channel 5 taken by somebody in the area said was an amateur video shot by somebody in the area. This here was all underwater. Looks like a garage or something has been destroyed over there. I've heard that the dam up at Sam Trombley's has been washed out. We're not sure of that. We're probably going to come back tomorrow and try to get some more aftermath type of footage. But we did want to make it up this far. Certainly a devastating blow to Greg LeBaire and his family. Almost out of daylight here. There's that bridge, Military Turnpike. Right up there, it's closed. You're not going to get from Route 11 to the Turnpike now. With no more daylight left, this will probably be our last footage on this segment. You've been with us for the full 4 hours, only 50 minutes of tape, but 4 hours is what it took us to get it. As I said earlier, we thought we'd go to Scioto, take a shot there at Corbo Creek, then go up to Feinberg Park, take a quick shot there, and head down to Ellenberg. But obviously there's too much destruction for us to not stop and take a closer look, and we did not look at all of it. There was certainly a lot more that we could have stopped and looked at. So that's going to wrap up the Hometown Cables coverage. November 9th, 1996. If you were here in the Northern Tier on this day, you'll be telling people about it for years to come. We hadn't planned on taking another trip on this morning, but we woke up and after seeing the tape of what was happening here last night, we said we need to go out and take another look. There's debris on the street. Floodwaters were Raging across the village here. This is downtown Church Street in Champlain. There's St. Mary's Church. This is the old Methodist church. We had some shots here early yesterday. This trailer was not sitting there in that spot yesterday. That trailer has been moved. Unfortunately, we didn't get a shot of it. We didn't think we wanted to shoot too many people's residences. We don't have a before and after shot to show you. You see hand tools strewn about. The smell of fuel oil is filling the air. Overnight in Champlain, Chazy River raged through the downtown streets. We saw some brief shots 11 o'clock last night. In the dark, it was tough to get anything. My son was here taking some pictures. There's a trailer that's picked up and moved along with a boat and the porch. Water is still higher than it was yesterday. The barricade that was blocking it is long gone. This trailer had been situated back in this direction here. It's picked up and moved, and if this building and wall weren't here, they probably would have been moved even further. A lot of people out looking at the damage, surveying the damage. It's closing in on 8 o'clock in the morning. People are heading for 8 o'clock mass at St. Mary's. The only reason I'm aware of the flooding that took place here last night is because my son came down and took those shots. Took several others that we just thought that weren't quite light enough to show on TV without somebody sitting there explaining them to you. We saw photos of this car half buried last night. You can see the destruction that was going on underneath it. Not sure who's in this home now. It was formerly, many years, the Picard home in Champlain. Some of the Barrier family surveying the damage. So the destruction that ripped Altona and Ellenburg yesterday hit Champlain today. That's Suzanne Moore. These are scenes I think we all thought were reserved for places along the Mississippi River and so on. See the watermarks on the side of this building. Another building, I think this is owned by Donald Wayne Patterson of Montreal or somewhere in Canada. I think he owns it right now. Of course, it was the Frank Manette home for many, many years. Remember Frank Manette, one of our bootleggers. Water obviously was flowing through here at a good clip. Now alongside the, many years was a bakery, the Leo and Edna Anctil residence. Down where the old post office used to be many years ago. Well, not that many, I guess, before it moved to its location in the shopping center. About 20 years ago it moved. Gravel, silt from the left as the water receded. The Ronnie and Anna Gooley home. Always get hit in the spring. If the water was as high as it was up the road, we can only guess how high it was here. We're going to zoom in. It looks like from the discoloration it may have been up to the bottom of that window. And if that's the case, they've lost more than what they had in the basement. The former, actually still a site of Raymond Biddard's farm implements. It's had a devastating fire a year and a half ago, 2 years ago maybe. This is after the water receded. We saw how high it was at 11 p.m. It may have gotten even higher. There's the Perrier residence. And again, looking at the discoloration, it looks like about 4 panels from the water line now. But the water was at least that high at one point. You can see from the darkness on the side of the Anctil place how high the water was over there. John and Mark Anctil, a couple of the sons of Leo and Edna. Up to those windowsills, at least. We're talking with Lynn Hogle. She said she believes it crested what she heard around 10:30, 11 o'clock last night, so the footage we had there would indicate the high water mark. Unfortunately, as we said, it was in the dark. There's not much we could do about that. Still a lot of water. It's still on Cedar Street. The steps here in front of the Champlain outlet, former candy cupboard, have been washed away. Some pump, not much good in the bottom of a river. The old Falcons drugstore. Again, this will give you an idea of how high this water was downtown Champlain. There's the watermark. There are those vehicles. If they were there overnight, it's a wonder they're still there. One of the new businesses downtown Champlain, the video store, owned by Kevin Strack. Laundromat, Bob Lagemere. You see how high the water was in the darkness on the side of the building. Obvious destruction in air. Water still high here. This is the old Grand Union. One of the old Grand Unions. There are about 3 of them. You can see dramatically here how high the water was. There's where it is now, still very high. And darkness on the side of the doors and the bricks tells you it was at least 4 to 5 feet higher during the night. As we make our way down Main Street, we're once again getting the smell of fuel oil. Obviously, anybody who had fuel oil, the tanks emptied out. Barber shop. Sure there'll be damage to the floor in there. Another indication of how high the water was as we look at the wet wood in this stairway. There's a barber shop about 2 feet up the side of the door. There are trees uprooted and floated around. I'm going to stand over here. I'd say we're looking at least 3.5 feet high at this point. Roger and Robin Janando, owners of the Robin's Nest. Workers have been working there all summer long looking to get it back in shape. This is across, up there is across from St. Mary's. One can only imagine what happened here with this truck. Our guess is that maybe someone tried to drive through, it stalled, it stayed there. water, and the auto parts store is that high. It looks like it would have been near the top of that roof on this truck at its peak. Obviously not when they were driving through it, or attempting to. Debris in Paquette Park. Cobblestones.
How high did it get last night, Calvin?
You have a fun time getting home? Kitty?
Looking at the old bank, the watermark, it looks like it was pretty close to the bottom of this bridge at its peak. Again, the telltale signs of the high water marks. As can be expected, River Street, especially the lower homes, suffering a extreme amount of damage.
She says, I says, ma'am, I just want to speak to you. Just give me an hour. She kept on harassing.
We'll take you along as we walk toward Cedar Street through the alley where Armstrong's garage used to be, where Mechanics Inn is now. That's how high the water was in this area. We would have to assume that these cars were here overnight. I don't see any tracks leading in. Mike Armstrong's computer store. Obviously anything within 3 feet from the floor got wet.
Vicky inside?
Looks like a watermark right there. The center of your screen. That would have to be, looks like close to 5 feet high down on Cedar Street. Water still coming through here. I haven't heard, but I would imagine that it's possible that some of the sewage may have backflowed in different areas. Raymond Juneau residence. Not sure if that line there indicates a watermark or if that was there before. Definitely a few feet high alongside their porch. If it could float, or if it couldn't float. It got moved last night. Looks like the church might be letting out. We're talking with one of the residents here on Cedar Street, Trustee Kenneth Delafrange. What happened here, Ken?
Well, it was a most interesting and unusual evening here last night in Champlain. We had, I'd say, at least 2 feet of water steadily coming down Cedar Street right here. You can see that down there's the roof of somebody's building. A trailer down on the end of Cedar Street has been moved, I would estimate somewhere between 30 and 50 feet. You can see that there's pieces of trees in the middle of the road. There's trees with their roots and boles on Church Street over here. If we look down towards the other end of Cedar Street over here, you can see right over there where the water came up on my house, which is about a foot or so. We were lucky it didn't get onto the first floor. The water all the way down, most of these areas were submerged. This blue house over here, water was about 4 inches from going into the second level. Looking down towards Bob Armstrong's place, you can see alongside of the building about halfway up was full of water. That car was underwater. There must have been 10 cars that were underwater last night. Matter of fact, last night this car, we were able to watch the water rise on the windshield as the inside dome light was on, and slowly we got to watch that disappear. Just an enormous evening last night, without a doubt. There were barrels floating by, pieces of trees. There's a table saw lying in the middle of the road on Church Street. Really an unusual and amazing evening last night, but thank God it seems like no one's been hurt, and that's it.
My son was down here taking pictures around 10:30, 11 o'clock when it was at its crest probably. Any idea what time it started to recede?
We were here at 11:30, and it seems like right around 11:30, midnight, somewhere in there is when I think it crested.
Okay, thank you, Kenneth.
Sure.
Now down in the St. Mary's School parking lot, you saw the pictures here last night. Difficult to say here just how high that water may have gotten. I don't see anything that would give me an accurate water line. I see a possible water line right here, just below that meter, the